What's up, people? Just a quick run through of the notes on our second language topic in stage 26, which is gerundives. But first, let's talk about something that's maybe familiar to us since really the beginning of Latin too, which is the idea of necessity. And as it says, both English and Latin have several ways of expressing necessity. Look at English, all right? It is necessary for me to do something. Sounds a little too fancy. I must do something expresses the same thing. I ought to do something. So there's a lot of different ways, even in English, that you can express this idea that like you need to do something. In Latin, we've seen this expression necesse est, then a noun in the dative case, and then an infinitive. So it's like it is blank for blank to blank. It is necesse for blank to do the particular action. So you see here, necesse est tibi, rem explicare imperatori. It is blank for blank to blank. It is necessary for you to explain the situation to the emperor. So again here, necesse est is one way to do it, but a construction using what's called a gerundive in Latin is another way to do it. So if it helps you to make a connection with that necesse est thing, which is kind of easy to translate, do it. That'll be good for incorporating gerundives into that same idea of necessity. So notice even with gerundives, I have right here in the title the letters ND in bold-faced in gerundives. And a gerundive is identified by ND between a verb stem and a noun ending. So in that middle of a word, you're going to see ND, just like ND is in the middle of the word gerundive. Now, English doesn't have what's called a gerundive. It only has gerunds, but Latin has this sort of kind of adjective gerund hybrid that I really don't want to get into too much detail on. But the person who needs to do something, or the person who must do something, or the person for whom it is necessary that something be done, will always be in the dative case. So it's going to look a little bit weird. And the verb will always have a form of the verb to be. So people who've taken the National Latin exam, you've probably heard me say before, ND plus B equals must. So that means a gerundive with an ND form plus a form of the verb to be like est or sunt is going to mean must. It's necessity. It is necessary for that person to do the action. So here's an example. Res tibi explicanda est imperatori. We just saw necesse est tibi rem explicare imperatori, which is it is blank for blank to blank. But now we have an ND plus a form of the verb to be like est. And so it means it must be explained. So literally, this construction is translated, the matter must be explained by you to the emperor. All right, that's what it actually is. This construction in Latin is called a passive periphrastic. And notice how I'm not putting that anywhere here. It sounds like a medieval torture device or something like that. But it's passive, kind of like those perfect passive participles that must be explained. But let's translate it like normal human beings and just say, you must explain the matter to the emperor. So in a word, if you see a verb form with an ND in the middle and then a form of the verb to be, it means must. And the person in the dative case, like tibi here, it is the person who must do whatever the action laid out is.